to this week's episode of Technique Tuesday. Today I'm going to talk to you about what I call patchwork molds. Last episode I talked to you about using the drape molds to create objects on a mold, and this is just sort of a different way to go about it if you want a different look. So you might have figured out from the patchwork name that you're going to be doing this by adding several pieces across the surface of the mold. So here's what you do. You roll out a slab, okay? It doesn't have to be, I cut these in strips, and then you cut shapes from your slab. I'm using triangles. You can use any shape. It doesn't have to be geometric. It can be any shape you want. You can use all the same shape. You can use several different shapes. And the thing is, you want the slabs to be kind of medium thickness, okay? Not crazy paper thin, but not super duper thick. If they're very, very thick, it's gonna make your object look very bulky. And the way this works is that you just lay the slabs on the mold and score and slip them together to get a patchwork look. So I'm going to start by placing slabs in different places. Now the way I'm going to go about this, you know, you can arrange them one on top of the other immediately. I'm going to do it a little differently. I'm going to place them in a few different places and then start to connect the slabs with others on top. This is going to be my first layer. I'm going to add one right here. This is going to be my first layer. And now I'm going to begin connecting my triangles together using additional triangles. Now every time you connect, you need to score and slip. And you always, always, always want your shapes to connect in 3 locations. Okay, that's going to be the safest. And you can adjust and fiddle as needed to make it look the way that you want it to. You might have to cut your shapes a little bit. So once I've got it placed, I'm going to figure out where I need to score. Just mark that out. And I'm going to score and slip the pieces together. I like to use a needle tool when scoring these because the areas are so small and I want them to be hidden when I'm all done. So you can use a serrated rib if you like, but just make sure you can't see those score marks. And make sure when you're scoring that your score marks are fairly deep and that there's a lot of them. Especially at this point in the year, people start to get a little lazy with their scoring and thinking, this is good enough, and then your project falls apart. So make sure that you're scoring a lot and you're scoring deeply. So I'm just going to continue in this fashion, filling in gaps, making sure all the pieces are connected, and then I will be able to let this guy dry. I've covered my whole mold with my triangles, and my personal choice is that I prefer to I like to paddle it a little bit and kind of flatten all of these out. After getting everything covered, I like to give it a gentle paddle, just to kind of get everything stuck really well, and B, I think it makes it look a little more cohesive. You can still see the shapes, okay? They're still there. I'm not paddling it so much that they're gone, but I think it just looks a little bit more put together. This is a personal choice on my part. You certainly don't have to do this, but I like the look of it. Okay. All right, next step is going to be, I'm going to take a clean paintbrush and I'm going to wipe out any excess slip. And then I'm going to add a foot on the bottom because this is a round, this is like a dome-shaped object. And I don't want it to wobble when it's sitting down. So let me do those two things, cleaning up the bottom and adding a foot. So I've built my bowl, I've added some feet here, and now I just have to let it sit. Again, remember on the plaster molds, you don't need a barrier. The plaster will suck the water out of the clay. So this should be ready to pull off of here, probably in about maybe 30 minutes to an hour. So I'm going to come back and check it later, and I'll show you what it looks like once I take it off. And remember, if you're using the plastic molds, then you must, you have to have some kind of barrier between your clay and the plastic, or else it will get stuck. So we'll come back and show you what it looks like when it's off the mold. Okay, so I've let this sit for a while. It's stiff enough to hold its own shape when I take it off, but it's not so dry that it cracked or it has changed color. And you can see I have this pretty cool bowl now with a lot of neat open spaces. It's very delicate until it's fired, so I'd have to be very careful. And at this point, what I would do is go around and clean up any spots that have some messy slip, any little nubs on here, clean up edges, and I would just have to be very gentle while I do that, because there's not a whole lot of surface holding these pieces together, and I don't want it to break while I'm working. So there you go, that's a patchwork bowl. Okay, there's my feet and all of my pieces all together. So check out the examples, and we'll see you on the next Technique Tuesday.
Even though I did mine on the outside of the mold, you can use this same technique on the inside of a mold if you prefer.